Hello everyone. Have you ever thought about the level of compassion in our world today and contrasted it against the biblical teachings? It's a question that might provoke unease, but that's precisely why it's so imperative to ask. The Bible, throughout its many chapters, paints a vivid picture of the kind of compassionate love that God has for humanity and that He commands His believers to replicate. It seems in our daily lives we've left behind something vital, the biblical principle of compassion. Christ in the Bible set a prime example of the embodiment of compassion. He out to the sick, the poor, the sinners, and the outcasts, demonstrating a model of love and understanding that goes beyond mere pity. Compassion isn't just about feeling sorry, it's about understanding, lending a hand, and sometimes simply being there. It's the cornerstone of a healthy community, as embodied by Christ. Yet it seems to be slipping through our fingers, like the Bible encourages us to clothe ourselves with compassion, Colossians 3:12, to feel the pain of others and to help alleviate it, and to be kind unto one another, Ephesians 4:32. Regrettably, those suffering the most from this compassion deficit are the elderly and the disabled. Place yourself in their shoes. Aging is inevitable and disability doesn't discriminate. It could happen to any one of us at any time. Their struggles are real, multiplied by society's lack of compassion. Now picture a world where compassion, a fundamental biblical principle, especially towards those who need it the most, the elderly and the disabled, is a forgotten concept. Let us remember, in accordance with biblical exhortations, to exercise compassion in our everyday lives. Consider this: a world where the elderly and disabled are left to fend for themselves, their pleas for help and understanding falling on deaf ears. It's a chilling reality that many face, and it's an indictment of our collective compassion, or rather, the lack thereof. Picture a woman named Margaret. She's in her late 80s, her vibrant spirit trapped in a body that's weathered the storms of time. She's a grandmother, a former teacher, a lover of classical music. But what most people see is an elderly woman who moves a little too slowly for their fast-paced world. Every day, Margaret faces a mountain of challenges. A simple trip to the grocery store can feel as difficult as a hike up Mount Everest. Yet, she presses on, her spirit undeterred. But imagine if, instead of impatient sighs and dismissive glances, Margaret was met with kindness and patience, a helping hand with her groceries, a friendly conversation while waiting in line. These small acts of compassion could transform her day from a struggle into a joy. And then there's John. A car accident a few years ago left him confined to a wheelchair. The world he once navigated with ease suddenly became a labyrinth of inaccessible spaces and uncaring faces. John is not just a man in a wheelchair, though. He's a talented artist, a voracious reader, a loving father. Imagine if people saw past his disability and recognized him for the person he is. If the world was designed with inclusivity in mind, John wouldn't have to fight for access to public spaces, and he wouldn't feel like a burden to society. The sad truth is, Margaret and John are not alone. There are millions out there battling not just their physical limitations, but also the lack of empathy and understanding from society. The lack of compassion is not just their struggle, it's a reflection of our society. It's a mirror held up to us all, a stark reminder that we must do better for the sake of the Margarets and Johns of the world, and for the sake of our own humanity. Now picture this: a society where compassion is not an exception but the norm. Imagine a world where the elderly are not seen as burdens but as invaluable sources of wisdom and experience. A world where the disabled are not marginalized but given the respect and understanding they deserve. This is the power of compassion. Compassion can transform our society. It can make the lives of our elderly feel valued, their stories heard, their wisdom cherished. For the disabled, compassion can mean inclusion, acceptance, and the freedom to live a fulfilling life. Compassion is far from a sign of weakness. On the contrary, it is a testament to our strength and humanity. It requires us to acknowledge our shared vulnerabilities and to act on our innate desire to alleviate suffering. Compassion is not a virtue that's out of reach. It's within us, waiting to be unleashed. So, what can we do to rekindle compassion in our society? It's simple, really. We can start with small acts of kindness. Offer a helping hand to an elderly neighbor with their groceries. Volunteer at a local community center, nursing home, or become a personal assistant. And remember, empathy is key. Try to understand the world from their perspective. Imagine how it feels to be them. including the disabled. Support businesses that employ and accommodate disabled individuals. Speak up when you notice lack of accessibility in public places. And most importantly, treat them with respect and dignity as you would anyone else. These actions may seem small and insignificant, but they ripple out and create bigger waves of change. A smile, a kind word, a listening ear, these are the currency of compassion. Remember, a society that lacks compassion is devoid of humanity, and that's not the world we want to live in. So, make a change today, for yourself, for the elderly, for the disabled, and for the world. Life as we know it is unpredictable. One moment you're up, basking in the warmth of success and happiness. The next you could be down, grappling with challenges and misfortunes. It is in these uncertain times that the value of compassion truly shines through. Compassion is not just about empathizing with the elderly or the disabled. It's about reaching out to anyone who's going through a hard time. It's about being a source of comfort in someone's storm, a beacon of hope in their darkness. Whether it's a friend who lost their job, a neighbor dealing with illness, or a stranger on the street corner, no act of compassion is too small. Remember, in the face of life's unpredictability, let's not forget to extend our compassion to those who are down, because tomorrow it could be us. Often we overlook the talents and abilities that disabled individuals possess. We tend to focus on their disabilities, inadvertently ignoring the wealth of talent, creativity, and potential that lies within them. From artists who paint with their mouths to musicians that are blind who play instruments and sing, from athletes who conquer their physical limitations to intellectuals who outthink us all, the achievements and talents of disabled individuals in various fields are truly inspiring. But it's important not just to recognize these talents, but also to appreciate them, to celebrate them, to give them the spotlight they deserve. Appreciation can be a powerful motivator, a catalyst that pushes individuals to surpass their own expectations and reach for greater heights. The role of society here is crucial. We need to provide more platforms and opportunities for disabled individuals to showcase their talents. We need to break down the barriers, both physical and societal, that prevent them from reaching their full potential. Let's not forget, disability does not mean inability. It's time we celebrate the talents among us. Because in the end, we're all part of the same human race, bound together by the threads of compassion and understanding.